Welcome to Pueblo Programming. This is lesson 3 of HTML, and today we're going to be looking at editor, syntax, and tags. As promised in the earlier lessons, we're actually going to look at and play with the structuring of editors, the syntax, and so forth. But before we do so, I have a couple more tags and elements that I would like to discuss. With that being said, let's go and look at color. So color is kind of an obvious choice. It's essential in having engaging visual design elements on a website. Now, cascading style sheets, which I mentioned earlier, or CSS, have much more control over HTML. And obviously, you can use color to change backgrounds as well as links. So tying that into that, you can actually set color changes for links within a web page by setting different attributes that modify that element. So for example, for text, you have text color, BG color for background color, so forth and so forth. With that being said, these attributes that you see that change that link, I'll show you how it's integrated. So for example, inside the body tag itself, we have the text which is set to the color black. The background color is white. The link itself would be blue. Then afterwards, if you were to go back to a website that you click on a link, it would show up red. But while you're clicking that link, it would change from blue to purple. Kind of like how you would see on, say, a Google web search or something of that nature. It's all very integrated, but it all is very logical. It follows a logical flow. Now, when it comes to links, what we have that we can see is that links connect different files. And the most prominent thing to understand is a link is created with the A or the anchor element. And that element is essentially stands for hypertext reference. You're going to want to remember that when it comes to links. href is very important. And all that essentially does, the function of that is it gives the attribute the web address of the file you want to link to. For example, I would have the tag A with href for the hypertext reference and a website, and then where it says content, you would fill that in what you wanted to link to. So for example, another integration with links that we can see is with images, which I'll show you another example after this. So images essentially use on HTML graphic files in the format of GIF, PNG, or JPEG. Now you can create your own images or use other people's images. The caveat to using other people's images, however, is that if there's a copyright on an image or someone else owns it or whatever the reason is, you cannot use that image without payment or permission from the creator or copyright holder. You can get in serious trouble on a federal charge level if you're using that on websites without permission. So just be aware of that and take note of that. So an image element is represented using the syntax capital IMG. Now, image elements actually don't have an end tag, so that's something to be aware of as well. But the required attribute, just like for links with href, the required attribute for the element is src. And this specifies the name and the file somewhere other than the directory of the HTML file itself. So for example, when we have the image, you reference the source and then you have the name of the image itself. So say I created an image or I copyrighted an image legally and the name of the file was turtle.jpg. That is the syntax on how you would set that up. Another thing that you can do is say you need to specify a file inside of another folder other than the directory. You would do the directory name for the folder / the picture file name. Or if you want to specify a picture file that's on another web server entirely and has a URL path, you would specify that web address after src, after the source, and then you have the web address and then / the picture file's name. And we'll look into setting this up in directories and subfolders in a little while. So, and the last aspect to understand with images is the background images. Now, a background image follows the same examples, except that you use the attribute inside the body instead of the image element. So, for example, you have body, background, and then the name of the picture. So, it changes a little bit versus what you've seen here. Instead of being inside the image itself, right after the body, you set the background. So, it goes across the background. So here we have an example of creating a link with a picture. You set the anchor point and the reference to the website, and then you would have the image file as turtle, and then you end it. Keep note once again that there is no closing tag for an image tag or an image element. So essentially what you would do is when you click on that link that's right there, then it would take you to an image pop-up image of whatever my turtle image would look like. We'll play with more of that. Now, don't think that this lesson's over yet, because I'm going to be showing you some other stuff, such as the editors, which I promised. But the next lesson, after we look at editors and syntax, we'll be looking at tables, ordered and unordered lists, and actually setting up directories for creating a website. With that being said, now we're going to go ahead and look at variety of editors and the syntax inside of finally making HTML files.